On the news, FG transfers second coronavirus patient from Ogun to Lagos for treatment. Muhammadu Sanusi II to challenge deposition by Kano state government. And Congo confirms first case of coronavirus as Morocco records first death. A warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidelia Aguncha. The Lagos state government has announced that a second case of the coronavirus reported in Ogun State will be transferred to the Infectious Disease Center for treatment in Yaba. Akin Abayomi, the State Commissioner for Health, at a press conference in Lagos, said this is to ensure the patient gets the best available treatment in the country. He revealed this at a press conference held in Lagos on Tuesday. There is more in this report. Almost 2 weeks after the first case was confirmed, Nigeria has reported its second case of the coronavirus, this time in a local who worked in the same company as the index case in Ogun State. The infected man is one of 40 staff of the company who were isolated and kept under observation for having contact with the infected Italian.
Out of the 40, we detected one positive, and that happened to be an individual who was spending a lot of time with the index case by virtue of his job. Now, the good news is that we had the individual under surveillance, so that significantly minimizes the chance of transmission to a large number of people. However, he has had some contacts, not many, a few, and those contacts he has had will now begin a 14-day isolation process for observation.
With the man already quarantined, the commissioner says he will be moved to Lagos for proper care.
I, in consultation with Mr. Governor, agreed that we will receive this second patient at our Yaba facility, where we have the appropriate infrastructure, and we have the appropriate trained staff, and we have all the necessary equipment to manage dangerous infections.
Nigeria's first case of COVID-19 was imported into the country by an Italian expatriate. To prevent a repeat of such, Abayomi says foreigners coming into the country are tested for the disease based on their travel history.
If you have a cough and a cold or sneezing, it doesn't mean you have corona. In fact, most of the time it is not corona. But because we're not taking any chances, anybody who comes into the country who has had a history of travel to one of the countries that we consider there is person-to-person transmission, then we take them to Yaba, we isolate them for 24 hours. We test them, and if they're negative, they go home. And that's what's been happening so far. And we've tested 12, and they're negative, and they've gone home.
Following the government's inability to locate 2 individuals who might have had contact with the index case on the plane, the commissioner reviews their identity with a view of locating them.
The 2 individuals, their names are Emwelunta Godfrey, a male. His other name is Obun Nore. The second person is another male. His name is Salami Sadiq, middle name Abiodun. Please, we need to contact you. You need to get in touch with the Ministry of Health. We've been trying to reach you by the address you put on your form and by the number you put there, but none of those numbers are working.
The Lagos state government has now called for calm among residents, noting that though the disease is contagious, it is not as lethal as many think. Fidelia Aguncha, TV360, Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari has asked the Nigerian Senate to amend the Finance Act recently passed by the National Assembly. In a letter read on the floor of plenary today, Buhari asked that the act be amended to indicate that the new law took effect from February 1st, 2020. Another amendment is to indicate that the annual fees payable on basic good items are different from value-added tax. President Buhari had on 17th of January 2020 signed the Finance Bill for 2019. The passage of the Finance Act into law introduces one of the most significant changes in Nigerian tax laws over the last 2 decades, which is the increase in the value-added tax rate from 5% to 7.5%.
I formally request that the Finance Act 2019 Amendment Bill be considered by the Senate for passage into law. This bill seeks to amend the Finance Act 2019 as recently passed by the National Assembly by clarifying, 1, that the administrative effective date for the increase in value-added tax from 5% to 7.5% is the 1st of February 2020. 2, that animal feeds in court are included in the list of basic food items that are exempt from value-added tax. And 3, aspects of the tax holiday incentive for agriculture by targeting this incentive to small and medium-sized companies that invest in primary crop, livestock, forestry, and fishing agricultural production. This incentive is also to be administered by Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission pursuant to the Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act. While I trust that this bill will be favorably considered for passage into law by the National Assembly so as to support the implementation of the 2020 federal budget, please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari.
Over 3.7 billion naira has been recovered from contractors and former directors of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. This is according to President Muhammadu Buhari. The President disclosed this at the inauguration of the NDDC Advisory Committee, comprising the 9 governors of the Niger Delta region and the ministers of Niger Delta Affairs and Environment. The President told the committee that these abuses of the past clearly shows the need for strict and diligent oversight going forward. He therefore charged them to discharge the new assignments diligently and effectively, working closely with the relevant ministries.
Our decision to inaugurate this committee ahead of the constitution of the board is to enable us to develop insights into the affairs of the Commission, which will properly guide the board when constituted once the forensic audit exercise on the Commission is concluded. You may recall that Federal Executive Council on the 5th of February 2020 approved the appointment of the lead forensic auditors. I am told they are concluding their pre-engagement activities and should be ready to commence work soon. To date, the EFCC and other agencies of government have recovered over 3.7 billion naira in cash, as well as various assets worth billions of naira from some contractors and some directors of the Commission. Furthermore, I am told that government agencies have placed liens on over 6 billion naira of assets which are being investigated.
Deposed Emir of Kano State, Muhammad Sanusi II, has announced that he will challenge his deposition by the Abdullahi Ganduje-led administration in court. Lawyer to the Emir, Abubakar Mahmood, announced this at a press conference on Tuesday. Mahmood revealed that the Emir has been banished to Nasarawa State by the Kano State government against his will. He also stated that the emir will challenge his banishment in court. Sanusi, who was dethroned by the Kano Executive Council on Monday, was airlifted to Nasarawa State amid tight security. He was taken to local development area of the state, then later moved to our local government area of the state, and that hours after arriving. No reason was given for his transfer. The National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress APC has dismissed reports of a crisis in the party. National Publicity Secretary of the party, Larry Onilu, said this in a statement while reacting to calls that members of the party are divided over its leadership. In the statement, Onilu said the issues being reported by the media are matters before the court and should be allowed to run their normal and legal course. He also added that the APC leaders are capable of resolving any contestation that may arise within the party. Well, barely 2 weeks after declaring a national strike, the Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria has suspended its industrial action. Members of the association had on Tuesday, February 25, 2020, withdrew their services from academic activities in colleges of medicine in all public universities across the country. This was after the expiration of the 21-day ultimatum issued by the Association for the National Universities Commission to withdraw its circular, which made the acquisition of the PhD degree a requirement for career progression for clinical lecturers in Nigerian universities. President of MCAN, Kenneth Ozolo, who announced the suspension of the strike at a press conference in Jos on Tuesday, said the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, and other stakeholders had intervened in the matter. He expressed optimism that the suspension of the strike would create the right ambience for further dialogue and negotiations. The ECOWAS Parliament has elected Sidie Tunis from Sierra Leone as the new Speaker of the Sub-Regional Parliament. At the inaugural session of the 5th Legislature of the Parliament held in Niamey, Niger Republic, delegates from the 15-member countries unanimously elected Tunis to preside over the Parliament. The Parliament also elected Deputy Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives, Ahmed Wase, as the first Deputy Speaker, and that's the highest deputies of all 4 deputies. Handing over the mantle, outgoing Speaker of the Parliament, Mustafa Siselu, thanked members of the Parliament for the opportunity to serve while also listing the achievements of the Assembly under his leadership. Take a listen.
We had dispatched several missions to the IDP camp in the northeast of Nigeria in Borno and Adamawa states during our tenure as the head of the community institution. It was noted that on behalf of the Parliament, a team was dispatched to Gao, Mali on the 23rd of March 2017 when we had active armed groups that were still active. The terrorist groups were still wreaking havoc, sowing fear, and were true enemies of progress for the development of our people. And as you are aware, in the same vein, Excellency, the chairperson, thanks for your unflinching support and the support of our brother, His Excellency, Mr. Sidie Tunis, the Speaker of the National Assembly of Niger, where we were able to carry out a mission on the 15th to the 19th of October as Sahelians in the face of the harsh weather to gather information on the living conditions of the illegal migrants. Prior to that, our tenure was not that of luxury, nor trips to Abuja or excursions to other capitals of the region. It was more of action.
Stakeholders in the education sector are calling for a renewed momentum on basic education reforms in Nigeria. This call was made in Abuja at a stakeholders meeting to explore key policy recommendations for basic education reforms in the country. According to the United Nations Children Fund, Nigeria accounts for 45% of the growing number of out-of-school children in West Africa.
As we look towards 2020, we have a window of opportunity to accelerate investments for education across Nigeria. And we can start with girls' education. which research reveals as a worthwhile investment for girls as individuals and for the communities they live in. Investing in girls' education is a catalyst to achieve economic growth, a healthier workforce, and peace and prosperity.
Additionally, we can boost education by moving towards allocating 15 to 20% of our public expenditure to improving the status of education as recommended by the Incheon Declaration set by global benchmarks. By doing this, we can reverse the downward trend for the federal budget, which has seen the percentage of the federal budget allocated to education periodically decrease from 7.4% in 2017 to its current status of 6.7% in the 2020 budget.
Failing to extend it to the secondary school may result to danger for us in this country. Why do I say that? Because of the rate at which we are having an increase in the criminal activities every here and there, and we think children out there, their mind needs to be reorientated and they need to give value to life. It's because of the way they are reasoning, they have not known the value of life, and we can only do this through education. Give them formal education, then they will give value to life. You won't just wake up one day that you want to destroy a place, or you want to destroy yourself, or you want to kill yourself. You have your future and you will be pursuing it with consciousness.
You're still watching News Now on TV360. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those, their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. Let's now join Oyin Adekunle for News in Business. Hello, Oyin.
Hi, Fidelia.
Tell me what's making headlines over there.
Well, the Nigerian Senate has asked 4 of its committees to immediately start discussing with relevant government agencies and stakeholders in economy with a view to addressing the negative effects of the dwindling oil revenues in recent days. The decision was equal to a point of order raised on the issue by the Senate Majority Leader Yahya Abdullahi. Following this, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, directed the Committees on Finance, National Planning, Appropriation, and Petroleum Resources upstream to start working out the solution to the unfortunate development. The committees are expected to meet with relevant federal government agencies and stakeholders to find out what the government could do to get out of the looming economic crisis. The joint panel is expected to submit its report next week.
For oil and other commodities, and also the financial markets and the commodity markets all over the world, have been really tumbled, and nobody knows what is certain. For us, with a major commodity being oil, this thing was much also damaged by the trade war that is in the oil industry, between OPEC and Russia, and oil prices have tumbled from about $68 per barrel to around 31, which could really crash our economy into recession.
So in order for this Senate to be proactive, to protect whatever would be the situation for Nigeria to implement the budget in a way and manner that will positively impact on the lives of our citizens, we form a joint committee This joint committee will continue to engage with people in government as well as people outside of government, where we can be abreast with all the necessary information. So the committees on finance, national planning and appropriation will now form the joint committee, and the finance committee will be the lead committee. You engage with those in government, the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Finance and National Planning, and any other ministry that you feel you need to have engagement with for you to have information.
We'll take a break here and return with Stock Market Review.
Corruption now take my country. Give him his shoes somewhere here. His phone and everything.
Don't do like that today, no.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going? Ho!
You never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body? See?
Huh? You never shake body.
Eh? I don't get Congo for my body.
You go take for here.
Sit down there.
What's this man still doing here?
They say I do shake body. I shake body, I shake body. They say I do this. And I say I don't get color.
You are asking for money.
Sorry, ma'am.
Asking for money to bail a suspect is an act of corruption. Both of you will be punished. Corruption is not allowed within the force. Remember,
police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
Corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption now take my country.
On TV360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
The Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country?
I wish we had people like Tunis at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that planet.
TV360, providing clarity to issues.
The outbreak of coronavirus around the world continues to trigger sell-offs of stocks by various investors, and in addition to that, the worst one-day crash in crude prices in nearly 30 years, which was witnessed yesterday, also fueled the continued downward spiral in the NSE today. The NSE's all-share index, which opened at 25,647 basis points, fell further by 4.91% to close at 24,388 index points, while the market capitalization of listed equities shed nearly 1 trillion naira, which is actually a huge loss for market investors. And market breadth remained negative today with 34 losers against 3 gainers, which is actually a better performance than previous session where there was just 1 gainer. And this downturn was impacted by losses in the stocks of large and medium capitalized stocks such as MTN Nigeria, which is leading the pack with 10% loss in the value of its share price. Nigeria Breweries also fell today, on the table again, losing 3 naira 65 kobo in the value of share price, an equivalent of 9.93%. Stanbic also shed 10%, while CAP PLC, like Nigeria Breweries, also declined by 10% in the value of its share price. But moving on to the top gainers, Neymet International Pharmaceuticals PLC was the top gainer today, adding 4 kobo to close at 44 kobo. That's compared to its opening value of 40 kobo. Honeywell Flour Mill also increased by 30 kobo to close at 90 kobo. And NEM PLC also closed at 1 naira 75 kobo per share. And in summary, nearly 600 million units of shares worth 4 billion naira, that's from 1 billion naira in previous session, exchange hands in 4,010 deals. Moving on now to the foreign market, FTSE is rebounding in early trading. Same for Dow Jones, rising by about 800 points. Japan's Nikkei is also up 0.85%, but it closed 19,867 basis points, up 168 points from Monday's close, that's yesterday, and that was 0.85% rise. And that's it from here. It's back to you, Fidelia.
Well, thank you very much, Oyin, for that update. Let's now move to the foreign scene. The Democratic Republic of Congo has confirmed its first case of the coronavirus. The patient is a Belgian citizen who has been placed in quarantine after testing positive for the virus at the airport of the capital in Kinshasa. This is coming hours after Congo announced that it hopes to be declared Ebola-free by April 2020. Meanwhile, Morocco has announced its first death from the coronavirus. In a press statement released on Tuesday, the government announced that the victim is an 89-year-old woman who arrived the country from Italy last month. It added that efforts are in place to identify the persons who have come in contact with the patient. And to sports now, the Nigeria Football Federation has ordered the suspension of league matches until there is medical equipment compliance at different league venues. The NFF's decision follows the death of Nasarawa United defender Chineme Martins during a league match game against Katsina United at the Lafia Township Stadium on Sunday. Martins was said to have slumped after colliding with another player, and all efforts to revive him proved abortive, partly because there was no available ambulance in the scene. The suspension came after the Ministry of Youth and Sport, in conjunction with the NFF, engaged the league management company to review the situation. And that's it on News Now. Many thanks for joining us. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Bye for now.